meeting to order at 3:34 p.m. Members in attendance are Art Searle and Christine Conley and myself, John Taylor. We do not have a quorum, so we won't be voting on any business. But let's start with open forum. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss on our open forum?
I'll throw out Wi-Fi again.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is a thing.
Like teacher Chromebooks, other Chromebooks aren't staying where they should be, and it's when teachers revert to secure and they're trying to show, I don't know, something from YouTube or Netflix, it's frequently messed up, and it's a hey Art, how do I get back on the staff?
Yeah, I'm not sure why so many people have gotten kicked back over to secure, and then in order to get them working on staff, we have to reset their password. Like, I don't understand.
Anyway, so I guess on the open forum thing, I'd throw Wi-Fi out there and maybe throw it under the bus a little bit.
All right.
And I just want you to know that I'm not slouching to the left. The only flat surface I have in my house is the kitchen table, and the sun is shining right in here. And so when I move to the side where the sun isn't hitting me, that part of the floor isn't level by a lot. So that's why I look kind of like tipped over.
Okay. Let's welcome Donna Gagne and Donna Lico and Mary Slattery. So we actually do have a quorum now. So welcome to the meeting. We're under open forum. If anybody else has anything they want to comment on. Okay. I'm going to table the consent agenda because I don't have the minutes ready. And we'll go to new business. How are Zoom and Google Meet working for everybody? You having problems? Is it working well?
I think Google Meet is super glitchy lately. I don't know if anybody else, but anytime that I've joined into people's Google Meets, kids are having difficulty. Teachers can't turn off mute. They have to log out, get back in. Zoom, I feel like, has been a little bit more reliable.
Go ahead.
I was getting bounced out a lot in Zoom last week and the week before. This week it seems to be a lot better, and I don't know what was causing that, but a lot of my parents they were also having trouble where they had to get out, log back in, not just on one day, but for the last 2 weeks, and it was just sporadic. It's not always the same, but I did notice that it is very consistent with one other household where their parent is a teacher, and she uses Chrome, and the kids obviously are using Chrome, and she was saying she thought it was a Chrome issue with Zoom, getting having the frozen screen a lot, and then it just dropped. I don't know if anyone else is noticing that with Zoom.
The only issues I'm seeing are when the power blinks in the senior high, or when the power goes out at a student's house. Other than that, it's been, I primarily use Meet, but occasionally use Zoom, and I'm seeing good performance with both, as long as the electricity stays on.
And there were a lot of issues. Monday it was a windy day, and everybody was losing power. And I think a couple of times in the last 2 weeks, we've had windy days. So that might have been one of the issues.
So I've been using Meets, and it's been working really well. I haven't had any real problems, other than I have one kid who has had some problems getting dropped from the Meet, but he's also a kid that either he or someone he knows went in and changed some of the code on the Google Meet. Art actually is the one that figured this out. He changed my name on the Google Meet. So that, I was wondering if that might be a potential problem with Google Meets, if they actually can get into the code and change it. Is that going to start messing things up? Because, you know, they get to that point where they start messing around with things and making their own life difficult. I don't know. Go ahead.
He could also be saying, oh, I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. While Fortnite's running on the side over here. Just
Right.
throwing that out there. And just
No.
for clarification, he was editing the code that the browser is displaying so that, you know, it wasn't changing Donna's name on a global or a meeting scale. It was changing what the student was able to see on his screen.
It was using the inspection to change.
Yeah, yeah. I want that kid in the programming class.
I was gonna say, I think we need to hook him up with Art or Jeremy to see if he can, we can channel his, for good, his powers. I think he's a 7th grader, right, Donna?
Yeah, he is. Yep. Now, Jeremy, if his issues were legit, he might be contacting you. I did give him a screenshot of that code, and I was like, you know, I don't know what's going on, but if you really are having a problem, put in an IT ticket, and I sent him the instructions on how to do that.
Well, if he's using the inspection tools, he should be able to use the network connection tool and prove to Jeremy that frames are dropping or packets are being lost. Tell him to document it and prove it.
Exactly. So if I get a ticket, that's what I'll tell him to do.
Okay.
No, seriously, not to be snotty, but you know.
But you know, sometimes
you're already there looking at it. Click a couple of tabs over and go look at the console, and then go look at the network connections and see what's dropping.
you know, with junior high kids, sometimes they're not really good about keeping their login information private, or they lend their iPad to another kid. So it is possible one of his friends did it and he doesn't even know who it was. But, you know, that's just one of the things we run into with the junior high.
But he would have to change that every time the page loads, right? It doesn't keep those changes across sessions.
Correct.
Okay. And I don't think it happened after that one time. And then it was like 2 weeks later that he said he was having problems with the glitching and getting dropped from the meet.
The other thing we can mention to students is if they're not on the latest version of Chrome, they should update to the latest version of Chrome, especially on their Chromebooks. Google had put out some versions of Chrome that kind of toasted Google Meets, and then they fixed it quickly, but some people got stuck on those versions. So the latest version of Chrome for Chromebooks is actually really efficient for Google Meet. Does much better. Automatically switches you down to low resolution if your computer starts getting bogged down instead of pegging the CPU.
You'd be surprised how many screens I walk by or see during a day where the triple dots have been replaced by a yellow, green, or red up arrow. And it's like, no, go restart that. But I don't want to lose the 120 tabs I have open. So there is an issue with reluctance to let it upgrade.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm mentioning it. And I'm just as bad. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to restart Chrome right now. I have 400 tabs open. And
Yeah.
I try to get in the habit every day of closing Chrome and getting rid of everything, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah, and anecdotally, I can say that it's not just the version change that makes a difference. When an update is pending, I think Chrome gets stupid and it starts misbehaving, and things that would ordinarily work don't work right because of a pending update.
Yeah, that's very possible.
I haven't read that. That's what it feels like.
All right, so anything else about, is there anything I need to look at for Zoom and Google Meet, or, you know, are we just saying sometimes they work great and sometimes they're a little finicky?
I just want to throw out there that I was using Google Meet and trying to do breakout rooms, and I was having trouble with my being I could hear all the breakout rooms at once. So I found an extension that I'm going to try tomorrow that allows me to mute each of the conversations so that I can pop in and out of breakout. So basically, I'm going to be able to do breakout rooms in Google Meets the way you can in Zoom, if it works the way it's supposed to.
Cool. Hope it works.
I'll let you know.
All right. The new copiers. I've had a couple of complaints from people about them being slow. And every time we've looked into it, it's because the mode was set to photo and not to text. They're very fast if you have them in text mode. They're very slow if you have them in photo mode. So unless you're printing out full page photos, put them in text mode. Any other comments about the copiers?
Is that something that can be changed and just kind of set at text mode instead of photo mode?
I had asked Joe to make that the default, but I don't know if he did it on all the copiers, but I will follow up with him on that. Joe is also working to put out the new version of PaperCut to replace Google Cloud Print. So we'll be testing that at the end of this month because I know Cloud Print is going away at the end of this year.
How is it handled on Chromebooks? Is it an extension or what?
Yes, it's an extension.
That's going to be pushed out and it'll still show up as, for example, Toshiba Find Me?
Yep. Or whatever the, for the students, it would show up as whatever printer they have assigned to them. Like they don't use Find Me, so.
We'll still be able to use it with mobile devices?
Yes, you'll need to install the extension and
Or the app?
or the app.
Phone
I'm not sure how it's going to work for authentication, but we're working on it. Like in the network, it shouldn't be a problem. Outside the network, it still shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
And Mary, I got your note. Joe is going to look into moving that copier for you.
Don't worry about it. We have another solution. That's kind of the rolling issues and solutions of rooms at the junior high, but we're good now.
So you don't need it moved?
Not today. Feels like a moving everything at this moving parts, but for now we're good. Thank you.
Just a quick nerdy question about PaperCut. Is it sending print jobs out to a farm somewhere, or are you processing those and spooling them in-house?
So when you use Google Cloud Print, it goes out to Google servers and then comes back to our local Cloud Print server. When we use the plugin, it should be coming direct. And that's part of the configuration, is getting it so that you can print direct to our printer here from outside our
Gotcha.
network. So yeah, we have the servers here. Anything else about copiers or printing? All right, we'll move to EdTech in the classroom and for remote learning. Jim and I had a meeting earlier this week about, what is this? The Supplemental Impact Education Aid for 2021. Where he put in, this is the state, some ancillary state funding that we got that has to be spent before December 31st. And the things that were funded by the state were in building 105, which is the junior high, I think. And the senior.
Yeah, we're 105.
So in 105 and 106, there were some document cameras and some speakers and some microphones. The issue I'm running into is everything we specified in the grant is no longer in stock anywhere. So I'm scrambling to try and find devices that fit the budget and do the same-ish thing. I ended up deciding on some Kodak document cameras. They're the Q800s. They look pretty nice. They're actually made to scan books, but you can also use them as document camera. So they'll have some OCR software that we probably won't use, but it should be a really nice document camera.
They look pretty neat. They look flexible enough to be able to flip them around and use them as a webcam if you need to also.
Right. And then microphones. I've got a microphone here that Art is going to take and test tomorrow. And the speakers we specified were just basically some computer speakers with Bluetooth. And those are really difficult to find. You know, Amazon has 3 in stock and I'm looking for 50. So, you know, I've looked around and there's not much out there right now that's not ridiculously priced, but I have a couple of different Bluetooth speakers with aux inputs that I have in the box for Art to look at too. So let me know how you make out with those. And when those come in, I'll be distributing those. What else? If we were to find get some more aid from the state or find some more money, is there anything else that we need that we don't have, or does anybody have anything that's working really great for EdTech that they want to share?
I personally use the Osmo device, which they now have a projector app that goes along with it. So I use that as like a document camera when I do my distance learning kids. So it might be an option for more the elementary school because it is like a dual kind of tool because it's a multi-sensory educational tool. But then you can also use it as a document camera.
Yeah, I think you introduced it to in Rebecca Breen's classroom at the junior high. We use it and it's great. She loves it.
Yeah, it works. I don't know how I would do distance learning for the things that I do if I didn't have it. It's made distance learning a whole lot easier for me. And as long as you have, for the teachers that have a MacBook Air and they have an iPad, they can use Zoom and they can connect their iPad to Zoom when they share their screen. So anything on that they can use the document camera. It's very easy to set up. And they're not very expensive. We already have iPads in the district. So the Osmo itself is like $99, but you can get if you just get the stand and the reflector, I think it's actually less. It's like $40. And then you have a document camera as long as there's an iPad and a MacBook.
Sounds interesting.
I'll throw out a couple. It would be really neat for the kids in the video production class to have ability to access the Macs on which they're editing when they are distant. I've tried to do it with remote desktop, and they're taking a gorgeous display and cramming it into school Chromebook. I don't know what the solution to that is. If there are monitors, like if there were 24-inch monitors that could go out on loan, that would maybe go a long way. Like the machines actually work, the connection actually works, and the kids can see the screen, but they're constantly panning on this gigantic palette of which they can see, I don't know, 33% maybe.
Right.
So something like that, maybe even some software, go to my PC or something of that nature that allows them to more seamlessly or more easily connect with their in-school device. Those would be a couple things. And then, I know Chromebooks don't exist and we've got some on order, but anything that we can do for the kids that are saddled with iPads in a computing and data science class, great device, inappropriate for the class. And so any Chromebooks that are on a bench somewhere or in a cart or something could be distributed to the kids with iPads in that class, or in those classes. That would be huge for the students.
So you're probably 2 weeks out from getting Chromebooks for the ninth graders. They are with the White Glove Provisioning Company right now.
Okay.
I do have a few of the Acer C740s if you still need some more. But,
I'll put the poll. I'll put a feeler out tomorrow. I asked one student why. I said, "Oh, looks like you're able to make progress." And he said to me, he said, "Yeah, I'm all set. I can do my work now." And it turns out he was doing his work on a Windows laptop that his folks bought him. And I didn't realize that the Chromebook, he never picked it up. It had been sitting in the reception area for 10 days or so. So I immediately, there's another kid, he's like, can't do his work. So he's getting that Chromebook tomorrow. He's actually going to be in school tomorrow. And that'll help him on the days when he's not.
okay.
But I'll put the feeler out and see if there are others that would benefit from that. And I mean, we've worked around it, and certain assignments just cannot be done on the iPad. And I've said, look, you're going to skip that. You'll come back to it on the days you're here.
Right. So those HPs were delivered here on Monday. They got picked up yesterday, and I expect to get them back within 10 business days.
So that's good news. That's good news.
Once those get back, we'll distribute those to the ninth graders first. And I know we got Mary some iPads for the eighth graders today, I think. So we're making progress.
Woohoo, thank you.
Is Metcalf's Chromebooks in with that order that came in for the ninth graders, or are we still waiting on those?
They are in that order. I have 12 carts here that they're provisioning, and then we'll be provisioning the rest of them. So we'll be moving forward with that once we get them back, probably after we take care of the ninth graders. That'll be our next priority.
And I know, just because I'm at Metcalf, I know that there is some, like the intensive support class at Metcalf, they have iPads, but the system is like needs to be updated, so they can't even access the internet. How long, she asked if I knew, but I was like, well, I'm going to a tech meeting, but how long if she gives those iPads up? Like, she can still use some of the features on it. Those are iPads that kids have in their IEPs. How long will it take before she can get those those iPads back to be working with, intensive support kids that need those for communication and really to do any work?
To be honest, if we wait until we get the ones back from Mary that we're taking back from the eighth graders, we'll just provision them newer ones and give them those and just do a swap. That's probably the best way to do it.
Okay. So what should I do? Ask her to wait like a week or so before she...
What I would do is have her, if there's not already a ticket, put in a ticket with a list of which kids and which apps each kid needs, and we'll provision iPads for them, and we'll just do a swap.
Okay. I'll let her know. Thanks.
We should be able to collect some of the newer ones back tomorrow or Monday. So hopefully you'll be able to get them, and then once they can get them provisioned pretty quickly.
And then we'll be getting them back from the ninth graders as well. So we'll have lots of 2017 iPads to swap out, because I'm pretty sure that those ones that the kids have now are 2013, 2014 devices. So it's time to upgrade those anyway.
Yeah, I think she had contacted somebody and they had said like, oh, they're so old that they are not connecting with the system anymore. So, but that's great.
Cool. That sounds like a good place to roll. Looks like we rolled right into the next agenda item, which is student and teacher devices. So I wanted to let you guys know that those were in, and we're rolling them out as soon as we can. And for teacher devices, I have started my list. I'm gonna place an order with Amazon to grab a few demo devices so we can test some different types of Chromebooks. And then I think we'll go with the Chromebook and MacBook option again this year, but I think we'll target a much higher price Chromebook than we did last time in the budget anyway.
These devices are scheduled to roll over already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Next summer, we should be replacing them.
And will teachers have the option again to purchase these current ones or no?
I don't know yet. So we have a lot of people who don't have a device who really kind of need one, like the TAs and just random people around the building who have a desktop, but makes it really difficult for them to work from home when the school is closed. So I don't know whether we're going to sell as many as we did last time, or maybe we just won't offer the same incentive we had last time. But I'd like to get more of them back this time than we did last time, so we can reissue them to people who need something. Because these aren't bad devices at all. I mean, they're only 3 years old and they're working pretty good. But the warranties are running out, which is why I don't want a teacher to be relying on that as their primary device with no warranty, nothing, you know. Just, I don't want anyone to be, oh, I'm sorry, you can't teach, your SOL.
I think the warranty is important. I think Katie Kokab's issue was a prime example of that. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it came back as quickly as it did. I just imagined her hearing that, that part is on back order for the next 6 months or something like that. But it was a very, I thought, expedient turnaround.
The longest,
given the conditions.
we had some that were out for a month while Apple was waiting on parts.
I just got mine back, and I think I gave it to you guys in June. So mine took months.
Yeah, they were waiting on Apple was waiting on parts from their manufacturers over the summer. It was bad. But when they have the parts, turnaround time is usually about a week. I'd also like to have some spares available, which was something we didn't have in the last purchase. It was a really tight budget year, and I'm afraid this year is going to be the same way. But I'd like to take some of those 2017 MacBook Airs and have those available as spares, because the ones that we have left from the last time we did this were basically junk. No, it was the ones that people didn't want to buy because they were already having problems with it. So I don't like issuing those to people as a spare because they're not very reliable.
There'll be 7 going on 8 next year.
Yeah. And they weren't very reliable 3 years ago when we replaced them. So, yeah, that's the issue we run into with those. Now, Jim might say, you know, we can't afford to do this next year, and we might have to keep the ones we have for another year. I'll push for that not to happen, but that's what happened the last time. We ended up stretching it out to 4 years. But we're still going to plan, you know, plan for the best case scenario. Budget update. We're under old business. We're on budget. We're trying to save wherever we can because there's still holes in our budget. And we're going to be getting ready to gear up for the new budget this month. So if you have any ideas or things that you want to see get proposed in the budget, definitely let me know. Or if you need help budgeting, or any of the department heads need help budgeting for their department for technology needs, feel free to reach out. Does anybody else have anything under budgets?
Is how much of the technology plan helps to drive our budgeting process and decision making that we do as a group?
it would be really helpful if we had an updated technology plan to push through any new things that we want to get done. We've been working off of a really old technology plan that there's a copy in the shared drive that we actually like hired a company to do an analysis of our technology and come up with a plan moving forward. And that's what drives the replacement life cycle for the student devices and the teacher devices. And you know, our Wi-Fi is getting a little long in the tooth, but it was state of the art when we installed it, so it's not outdated yet. I mean, it's AC Wave 2. I think most of the issues we're having have more to do with authentication than anything else, but you know, I'm gonna look into that some more because I feel like there might be some other issue that I'm not aware of that's causing problems. But yeah, you know, if we wanted to drive towards a Promethean board in every classroom, we should have an updated technology plan to reflect that. You know, we don't have a really good justification to move forward on new initiatives without an updated technology plan. So that's definitely something we need to sit down and spend some time on. And I think our technology plan should be driven by the ESG standards, because you know I think that's where we all need to be, is driving those standards.
I know you're talking about a new budget. In the current budget, is there money for projector bulbs? Or do you want us ordering those out of our department stuff?
Projector, yeah. Consumables would be out of department budgets.
Okay.
If you run out of money in your department budget and you still need a projector bulb, let me know. But I do recommend department heads budget for consumables. And even, you know, projectors. If everybody in your department needs a new projector, put projectors in your budget. But get a price from me. Don't go grab one on Amazon.
I'm guessing if you get a dozen requests for projectors, you're going to go get a good price and a bulk price and on a single model and maybe some spare bulbs to boot.
So the projectors I've been buying lately are off of the Epson Brighter Futures price list. So I'll go through the list and find an appropriate level. And they always have a projectors at, like, the models change as they come out with new ones and discontinue old ones, but they always have one at a certain price point that has the same type of features. So I would budget $700 to $900 for a projector, depending on which features you need. If you just need a bare bones HD projector, $700 will do it. If you need the network module and everything, then $900 will probably do it. If you need a slim model, probably closer to $1,500. Or if you need a wall mount model, it's $1,500 to $1,800. It depends on what features you need. And if you get up to the $1,500 model, you might consider going with a Promethean board for $1,800, because that just makes more sense. Now, one thing that a lot of school districts are doing that we might want to evaluate, especially at the upper grade levels, is a 65-inch TV on the wall that's not touchscreen, but using that instead of a projector. I've heard a lot of schools doing that, where they don't need the interactivity because they're not working with young kids, but they still want, you know, they're using a projector all day, and instead of buying a projector, that makes more sense to buy a 65 or 75-inch TV.
It's probably less money than the projector too.
Yeah, I mean, a 65-inch TV is about $500.
When you're talking about clarity of image, something on a TV or a Promethean board is much more clear than what you're projecting with a projector. And in science, that really matters.
Especially with the resolution. Like the Promethean boards are 4K. You can get a 4K TV that's 65 or 75 inches. That's going to be really clear.
Right. So I do think a TV could do most of what you'd need in a classroom at secondary, but I think a TV is far superior to a projector.
So, I mean, that's something to think about. But then would we get requests to move Promethean boards around, which they don't move. They're permanently installed on the wall. I think I still have a pending request for that. And I haven't figured out,
Out of my room.
yeah,
Yes.
they don't move. I mean, that's installed to the wall. So, yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to do that.
If you, I bet you some teachers even at Metcalf, like maybe the 6th grade teachers and I mean even 4th, 5th, 6th, like they might like the TV better than the projector too. Because I feel like as people, even at Metcalf, as some teachers are becoming a little more tech savvy than they've been at Metcalf before, they probably have a lot on their computer now that they don't need that projector, and if they could just connect to a TV. So budget wise, I know that Metcalf has been sent out to talk about budgets. That might be just something that Metcalf kind of the lead teachers should be aware of too. Or,
Yeah.
or Lori, I don't know. But I could see some teachers being much more into having a TV that has that clarity because they just want to project what's on their on their computer rather than trying to hook up to and being stuck next to a projector.
Right. The only problem with doing that is now you don't have a whiteboard anymore. So, you know, it might make sense if you go with the Chromebook option that has you can load up Jamboard and draw on that, and you're projecting it on the TV. But it might not make sense for somebody with a MacBook that doesn't have a touchscreen, for example. I don't know what to expect with the new Apple hardware. I have a feeling they'll be coming out with some new devices. I just don't know that they'll be in our price point as far as a two-in-one. I feel like they're the only company that hasn't come out with a really good two-in-one at a good price point. But we'll have to wait and see what they come out with for new hardware. Apple decided they were going to get away from Intel chips in their computers starting next year, and then move towards building their own again. So they actually they used Apple hardware in the iPad Pro, which is why they were so ridiculously overpowered. I think they were just testing out the platform because that's what all of their computers are going to run on, is that same hardware that's in the iPad Pro. So, all right, we need to work on the technology plan. I think we should maybe set up a workshop to do that at some point. Because I feel like a meeting like this it's too formal to work on a technology plan.
Can we get that tech plan into a Google document and then send it out to us and let us start commenting on it? And
so the draft that I created based on the ISTE standards is already in the Google shared drive.
yeah, it's been a long time since I think anybody's looked at it, me especially.
So what I was thinking was maybe we could set up a workshop type meeting for the middle of a month to work on that. If anybody wants to do it with me.
Yeah, send out some
Is there a time of day that works better for that than 3:30 in the afternoon, or?
Yeah, 2 o'clock works well. No, I would like the chance to reread it, review it. I was actually looking at ISTE standards, oddly enough, about 10 days ago, the ISTE student standards. And so, yeah, if it's based on that, some of that is a little bit fresh in my mind right now.
Yeah, it's basically all based on the ISTE standards. And then how do we meet them is the plan. You know what I mean? I am planning to attend ISTE this year. the conference because it's virtual. And also MassQ. So maybe I'll be able to pick up some stuff from that too.
What day do you want to meet?
Let me pull up the calendar. Probably not this week. I could do the 13th. I could do the 11th. No, can't do the 11th. That's Veterans Day. We won't be here. The 17th, 18th, both wide open.
Sounds good to me, anyway.
All right, I'll probably schedule it for the 17th at 2. Anybody who can attend, great. And if they can't, then we'll do another one. But
And if it's more convenient at 3:30, you know, let it be at 3:30.
all right. I don't want to exclude people because they're still teaching.
Yeah, I was being snarky about the 2 o'clock thing.
All right. So we'll make it 3:30. Put that right here. Workshop. And that will remind me to put out an invitation for it.
And when I really want to have the meeting is about 5 in the morning. That's when I'm working. That's when the thing is, that's when the hamsters are running on the wheel.
If it's a really bad night, I'm still up. Otherwise, I'm not awake.
That's Donna. I'm with Art. I'm up and going at 5. That's the best time of day. By 4 in the afternoon, I'm ready for bed.
Yeah, like midnight to 2, I do my best work.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I would say 3/4 of Westerly's network was built between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. All right, go back to my agenda, which I lost. There it is. All right, something awesome. Share something. Who has something awesome that they want to share?
The news story projects that the kids are working on are taking forever because they're only seeing it 50% of the time, but they're coming out really, really well. And the kids are caring about it and are interested in producing a high quality product. And for their very first independent video projects, kind of happy with with what the kids are doing.
That's awesome. I love when kids care about what they're working on. That's how you know a project's really working. Christine, do you have anything?
Not currently. I'm home quarantined, and I got all my kids to actually go on Chromebooks and see me while they were in school. So that was like a woohoo.
Cool.
But that was really on the teacher's part for being really flexible with me. But we had just enough at Metcalf Chromebooks kind of floating around that we were able to get. I was able to get 3 second graders all on at the same time, which was really successful for me today.
That's good. All right, Donna, you're up.
Okay, so 5 years ago, I had students plant pawpaw trees, and they're over there by the basketball court. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but we got our first crop of pawpaws this year.
Hey, that's cool.
I'm very excited. Of course, I wasn't there to share them with everybody. So next year, you'll all get to taste the pawpaws. But those are the trees that are growing by when you drive around between the admin building and the basketball court.
Yeah.
Yep, those are pawpaw trees, and they produced about 10 pounds of fruit this year.
Huh? Cool.
I'm very excited.
10 pounds?
Excuse me?
10 pounds?
10 pounds, yeah.
Wow.
All right, the other Donna.
I was just the one thing that I like with the distance learning is the immediate connection with the families. That when the parents can really see the learning for their students. And then they also get kind of an inside look at what and how they are learning to help them. So I like the immediate feedback and interaction with parents this year, instead of, waiting 2 weeks later to find out they had a question or something happened. It's immediate. It's present time. So I have been enjoying that. And I think that's a real positive piece for the distance learning.
Now, is that just for the distance learning kids, or is that for all the kids?
I'm teaching
You're
kindergarten and first grade distance learning class combined. So I have
I'd
a
be
split.
interested to know if anybody thinks that Seesaw is helping them with parent communications who are teaching in school or hybrid. Are there any hybrid kids right now?
Yeah, I have hybrid kids as well.
Oh, wow.
And I don't have access to their Seesaw, the teacher's Seesaw account, so I don't know what's going on with that. But the parents who are hybrid, their child is hybrid, sees the classroom teacher's account and my account.
Okay.
I just know that sometimes I hear mixed reviews of Seesaw on both ends, like teachers and parents. It's not,
I have heard the same. What I've heard a lot is, people who want to go back to class dojo, but that's not going to happen because of the way that their privacy works. We just can't. It doesn't meet the Rhode Island state requirements for student privacy.
yeah. I really like the privacy part because I worked with both of them last year, Dojo and Seesaw. And the problem with the Dojo was you saw whatever the parent posted, everyone can see. And so there was no privacy between the teacher and student. It was every parent could see what all the other children were doing. And Seesaw, it is, you just see what your child is doing. And as a teacher, you don't have to stress, worry about, is that, what was posted, because it's just their journal. So they're seeing just their work as it pertains to your class and not seeing everybody else's. So that is a plus. I mean, from a classroom perspective, one of the ways students learn is by seeing the examples of other work, but it's not, you can do that in a Zoom, I guess. You could show and post something, show something, a glimpse of student work if you needed to.
There's also the blog, Donna, that you can access on Seesaw. As far as Seesaw at Metcalf, I've there's pros and cons. It isn't necessarily ideal for distance learning. So those classes that are full distance learning, it's not the ideal. I think there's a lot of things that they can improve. I've put in a couple, you can put in kind of like requests for things that they work on. And if they keep getting like the same requests, that's like, it goes up on their kind of priority list to like change. Like myself, I'm in like 10 plus classes. So I log on and I have over 1,000 notifications and there's no way to turn the notifications off. Like I can't just turn on notifications for my kids. So I might have 2 kids or 1 kid in every class and I get notifications for the whole class. I think that some teachers are very much more familiar with Seesaw. So those parents are much happier with Seesaw and then some teachers don't have the training because we didn't do a ton of training in the beginning of the year. So they're not necessarily using it that much. So the parents aren't seeing the value in it. Like I said, there's pros and cons, and there's pros and cons of Google Classroom. I see a lot of features of Google Classroom that I understand why some teachers love it. The grading, the way that work comes in organized, Seesaw isn't at that level. As far as Seesaw just wasn't developed for distance learning. Like they're trying to make it more accessible for distance learning, but Google Classroom it's more organized for those classes that are complete distance learning because it organizes the work being sent back much, much better.
Yeah,
So-
and also, like, I do all my lesson plans in Google Docs. And then I put it into Seesaw, but then I have to activate every single link again into Seesaw because it won't read and activate the link. It won't be live. So there's so much more extra steps that I have to take because I'm going through Seesaw, which is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is.
What do you mean it's not activating the links for you?
So I'll, let's say I have a movement break and I put in the link in
Mhm.
my slide. So then when I go to upload it, it won't activate. Like the link is there, but when you go, it won't be a live link to click on and get to the movement break. I have to go in and click on the 3 dots that allows me to add a link and then link it that way.
That's interesting because I have the same issue with Aspen. If I draft a letter to parents and I put in a hyperlink in the text and then I copy and paste the entire thing into an Aspen email, I have to reactivate the link as well.
Yep. That's what I'm doing at 1 a.m. Activating all my links.
So are you making a Google slide that you're doing with them live and they're not able to access it? Or are you posting a whole, like a Google slide that they are able to access? And then are you saying that because they're going through the slide on Seesaw, the links aren't working? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. So I do the lesson, create it in a slide. Then I bring that lesson slide over to Seesaw, and then they click on the day's lesson. And in that lesson, it'll have like, here's what we're doing for reading, here's what we're doing for writing, here's what we're doing for word work. And then each one might have a link onto Seesaw where there's an interactive component to what that lesson is that's posted in the slide. That makes sense.
I wonder if what would be easier for you is, you know how when you can post, like you're posting the assignment or like the, and you're probably doing the link to the Google slide, you can create the link to the Google slide and put at the end, instead of edit, copy. And then when the kids click on it, they're opening their own Google slide, like their own original Google slide. And then all the links will be active because it's their personal Google slide. Do you know what I mean?
Through Seesaw or through Google?
Through Seesaw.
So you're sending individual links to each person?
Nope. So you can manipulate the link to that Google slide so that when they click on the link, it automatically requires them to create a copy. So they now have their own copy of your slide that they're not manipulating your original. They have their own now slideshow that you've created, and everything will be live.
It creates a copy of your slideshow in their Google Drive, which might save you having to reactivate all those links.
Correct.
Because the way I do it now, some of the slides are kind of interactive. So
Yeah.
that, you know how you're saying when you go and you have 1,000 notices. So one way I limited like having 1,000, posts a day is that they send and do all their work through that slide. And so instead of having 10 things from each student, they kind of do it right through that slide.
Oh, all right. I get what yeah, so I've seen they're manipulating that slide. Like you've created that slideshow and now they can write on it or move movable.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The only other thing I would think that maybe would save you a little bit of time, if there's just any links, you can put them into the directions. So even when they're in the slide, all they have to do is hit where on the top it says show directions or instructions, and the links will be right there. So when you're writing the directions, you could just input the link right there, and then that would be live. It would just open up another tab for them to do their movement break, and then they come back to Seesaw to finish.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get it so the kid can be just as independent going in accessing Seesaw without having the parent to constantly help them out. So by making it right there accessible and available, I think it helps the parents out with giving their kids, that time that they're learning, and the parent can kind of go off and do something else.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid if I put it somewhere else, that child limited reading skills at that level, they're not going to be able to figure out which link for what, because the visual piece won't be there.
Right.
Donna, why don't we plan to work together on this? I'd like to watch the process. Maybe next week we get a time where we can meet together. I'd like to see what you're doing.
Okay.
And just to be a fly on the wall to watch the process.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a way that the process can be tweaked easily so that it just works.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a YouTube a tutorial that I missed. There's got to be, like you were saying, they keep updating how things interact in Seesaw. So I'm just praying that at this point there might be somebody else who's doing the same thing and they figured out how to make it active.
You know who you might want to ask is Elizabeth Wilkie, she's distance learning for 5th grade. She's an ambassador for Seesaw.
Okay.
And she's been using it for a couple of years, so she might know a quicker way. And I know she's also doing that where she posts that they're completing the slides just like you are. So if you can't find the answer, you can always ask her. I mean, it might be that she just says, "Oh no, I don't know how to do that either." But she uses that technique of using. They all have their slides that they're completing and then they're submitting back in. So she might know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I have to cut in here. I have a meeting at 4:30 I have to go to, so.
Okay, we're going to wrap up right now. Thank you everybody for coming.
And Barber is a Seesaw ambassador also.
All right. I'll reach out to them. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And if you want me to take a look at the process or watch that, reach out, let me know. We'll connect.
All right. Can you do it after 3? Is that okay? Or I don't know. Are you on the high school schedule?
Yes.
So maybe
yes.
before 8. You'll have send me your schedule. Like, do you still have a posted?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a block of time from 7:30 to approximately 7:45. I'm sorry, 8:45.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe one of those times might work.
Okay.
All right.
I'll send you a link to the calendar.
All right. Thanks.
All right. So having reached the agenda, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye.
week, everybody.